Riccardi, 10 to 1, 550 KTSA.
Hey, it's Gang of Four for a Friday morning. We have Gilbert Garcia here from the Express News. We have Yami Veeden here from Fox San Antonio. And by the way, you're doing a great job. We're not going to even call Sylvia anymore.
No. My boss is probably like, get her out of there before she says something crazy.
Well, that's the thing. When Sylvia told me you were going to be on, I was like, does she understand this is an opinion show? I mean, is she going to be all right? Are you so far so good?
Let me tell you something real quick. Professor Richard Gambetta at UTSA was one of my mentors, political science. Yeah. He told me, Yami, you are the only student I've ever had that gets the right mad and the left mad at the same time.
That's
I'm like,
why
great.
we love you. All
great.
Right. So as long as you're comfortable, we're liking it. And also Lyle Larson is here, Republican candidate in Texas House District 122. The leader of the House Democratic political campaign effort, a congressman named Chris Van Hollen, this week said that President Obama needs to, quote, get turbocharged for Democrats in this fall's election. He's saying we need the president to get out there, get out around the country, and make the case for what we've done. That's going to be hard when local Democratic candidates are running away from Air Force One wherever it lands. Is he right, first of all, that there's sort of a case to be made and it's not being made? Or is the problem for the president and his party that maybe people already kind of know how they feel about them, Gilbert?
Well, the case can be made that there have been legislative accomplishments. I mean, the debate would be whether these were positive or negative things for the country. But I mean, he certainly has a record to run on as far as the financial reform package and the health care and the stimulus. Now, these are very controversial pieces of legislation, but he can get out there and say, I don't think anybody can say that he's been a do-nothing president, but he, as you say, he's very controversial. And local candidates, I mean, Bill White here in Texas certainly didn't want to be anywhere close to him. So I think this is one of those elections where Democrats are probably better off on their own, making their individual cases, saying, I've done a good job for this district or for this state. And I think the president is really, I don't think he's going to do many people a lot of political good this year.
Isn't there a problem here that, essentially, Lyle, they got elected in 2008 with a little bit of a bait and switch. Part of it was that people looked at Barack Obama and saw what they wanted to see, which I guess you can't blame him for that. But also there was a real misleading kind of, we're going to govern from the center, it's going to be a new kind of politics, we offer hope, and instead they've gone much further to the left than I think even maybe some people who voted for him thought they were going to go.
Well, I think that's the problem. And your first question, people are running from him because you got unemployment at 10%, and you've got all of the economic stimulus packages and everything they've done about job creation. It isn't working. And bottom line is the country's $13 trillion in the hole, and there's really no hope from the standpoint of when this thing's going to turn around. If you look at all of the numbers and look at over the next year, whether we're going to rebound, you look at growth. Growth is normally, when you're coming out of recovery, is 5 to 7%. We're at 2%. And so I think that there's a fundamental problem with the president getting out and talking about these issues, because he's the one that made all those promises in the campaign in 2008 that he was going to turn this deal around, and it hadn't turned around. And so if I was a candidate of that party, I definitely would not want him in the district I'm running in. You can see all the people in San Antonio, whether it be Charlie Gonzalez, Cuellar, or Ciro, they definitely don't want him down here, because he's a lightning rod to stimulate the Tea Party or independent people and the Republicans to get out.
Yami, we have all these polls that show the Republicans on the generic ballot have the biggest lead they've ever had, and there's this tremendous enthusiasm. You see states where normally a Republican candidate would not have a shot. Here, even Republicans unseating incumbents in places like California, maybe. It almost looks like they're peaking too early. It almost looks like sometime in the next 2 months, Republicans will find a way to screw this up. Can things really stay like this for 2 more months?
You know what? That's the beauty of politics. I mean, everything changes so quickly. It just takes one little mistake. I mean, look at the governor of Arizona right now. Yeah. One little mistake will change everything around. And as far as what we were talking about before, Barack Obama doesn't need to go out there and stimulate the base. A yellow dog Democrat will not vote for a Republican. He needs to bring in those independents. And right now, I think independents are pretty much going, I don't know if I want to go with that Obama guy. I think I'll stay over here. So as far as the politicians here locally staying away from him, they don't need him. So why bring him on, They're doing well on their own.
And what about it, Gilbert? I mean, will the Republicans snatch defeat from the jaws of victory? They've done it before.
I think they're going to have a good year, but so much. I feel like so much what we see in politics has to do with people voting against people, voting rather than for them. And so Harry Reid's not popular, but if Sharon Angle, for instance, makes enough mistakes, he may win. And I think we see that in a lot of races where you might have it's an anti-incumbent year, and I think there's a danger for both parties, though it's worse for the Democrats. But if you have people that kind of scare off voters, there's the possibility. I think it's going to be. I have a hard time seeing the Republicans taking the House and/or Senate. Though people are predicting that, but I do think they're going to have a good year. I mean, it's clearly a Republican.
So you're not sure they'll take either one? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I could be completely wrong about that, but that's the.
Yami, do you think they'll take one or both? Or?
I think they'll take one. Just the sentiments out there from people, even traveling from Europe this week, people are kind of switching around. Barack Obama, to some, isn't exactly what they expected. And it was kind of like the dream is coming now to a reality. And they're left with, this is what we got.
All right. This is Gang of Four on KTSA. By the way, that was Yami Virgan from Fox 29. We have Gilbert Garcia from the Express News. We have Lyle Larson. Let me ask you all this question we're asking on the JR poll today. Do you think Obama and the Democrats will spring an October surprise? It could be tax cuts, business tax cuts. It could be something military. Who knows? Is there going to be an October surprise this year?
Yes.
And if so, what will it be? What do you think it'll be?
Yes, and I think it'll have to do with immigration. Something has got to be done with immigration. The Democrats can't just sit there and let the Republicans continue saying we're the ones bringing the solutions. The Democrats have to bring solutions. I expected a little bit more from President Obama being a Democrat, considering that a lot of Hispanics do vote on the Democratic side. So what's going on? They need to do something.
All right. So you think the October surprise will be immigration?
I think.
Lyle Larson, will there be one, and what will it be?
Well, I don't know if there will be one, but I can tell you, if you look at all the polls, it's about jobs, and there's nothing that the government can do to stimulate other than cutting taxes. That's the only way that
what about
this
business
will work.
Tax cuts? You could do a big business tax cut, right?
Business cuts, or just individual tax cuts, or he announces that he will support the continuation of the Bush tax cuts. If he doesn't do that, I really don't see the economy turn around. Somebody's going to have to express some kind of plan that will allow business folks to start investing again.
But
everybody's holding their money right now.
If you extend the Bush tax cuts, what do you do with all these TV commercials that the DCCC is running that feature and star George Bush?
Well, that's a good point. I don't know how you.
I mean, first he gave you the surge, and you got victory in Iraq. Now you're extending his tax cuts.
Yeah.
It's like you brought him back.
Yeah, I don't see anything happening. I don't see the Republicans messing this one up. I think within the next 60 days, I think the Republicans will take the House back. I think if you look at the numbers in the Senate, they're probably too shy of turning that all the way back around. But it's going to be a significant gain in the Senate. So yeah. I think it's going to be a great year, but it also sets a referendum for the 2012 election. I think that he will definitely be on the target list. And if the Republicans can get a good candidate for president, I think there's a good chance in 2012. In 4 years, we'll turn all three of them back around.
It's interesting that you're predicting one but not both, because I read that actually the Republicans have never taken one without taking both in a midterm election. So if you're predicting one, history favors that both would actually go.